Welcome to Postcast Fish Talk, episode 5. Today we are joined with Lester Miller, the inventor and founder of MillerTech Energy. I'm your host, Rachel Post.
I'm Brian Post.
All right, thanks for coming today.
Hey guys, nice to catch up again.
Yeah.
Awesome. So reading a little bit on your biography here on your website, and I think I talked to you a little bit about this at the Classic last year. Your purpose, your reason for getting into the lithium battery market. Kind of go over that a little bit.
Well, I mean, I kind of just got into it because there was a need with my original job that I had. I don't know if that's what you're talking about, but
yep.
I had a job at a logging company where we were using a winch that used 12-volt batteries, and they were not holding up. Regular car batteries we were burning through those things in 3-4 months. And I had a good boss. He was never rude, but one day I told him we need new batteries, and he was like, "Really? Again?" And I'm like, in the back of my mind, I'm like, "Yeah, dude, this is dumb, but we need them." And so that led me on a journey to figure out, is there a better solution for batteries? And that was 2014 or 15. It's a little blurry, but I'd say 15 maybe. I did some research, and at that time it was lithium iron phosphate was only starting to become somewhat known about. Like DeWalt, Milwaukee, all the tool batteries, even those guys didn't really have lithium yet. So it was really early stages. And that's when I jumped in and bought some batteries with my own money, and because my boss didn't want to pay $2,000 for a battery. At that time, a 12-volt, 100 amp hour smart battery had one for $19.99. And he was like, "I would never pay that much for a battery. I don't care how good it is." And I just thought, well, I'll buy it because I was so intrigued by it. So I bought the battery and used it on the application, and it didn't work. And that's probably why we're sitting here today. If that battery would have worked, we probably would have just used it, and I would still be cutting down trees and would still be a logger. But the battery didn't work, and that irritated me because now my boss was correct and I was wrong. So I took the battery home, cut it open. I wanted to know what's going on in this battery. Why doesn't it work? I had no idea. I didn't know anything about volts, amps. I grew up on a farm, so 24 volts, 12 volts is like talking Chinese to me. I had no clue. So this was really kind of crazy. I just cut up the battery, but I wanted to see what's inside this thing. And so I found cells, and I did more research, and it actually took me, I started the LLC, MillerTech Energy Solutions LLC, in 2016. I wasn't able to design and build the battery for that application until 2018. That's how long it took me to figure out all this stuff and learn about all these things. How many amps? This Brian, you'll probably understand this. This winch was taking 400 amps whenever you hit the button.
Oh wow!
So
yeah, that's a serious winch then. You're needing some serious power.
And what was tricky, like your boat motor, when you hit that crank switch, it's going to take 400 to 600 amps. So it's kind of similar, but the winch, we were pulling a log, and that winch would probably be engaged for up to 30 seconds, while your motor is only engaged for a split second.
Right.
So it's a lot easier to build a battery for your boat motor than it was for that winch. That was a complicated battery, but we did end up getting one built, and they're using it today. How many years later? Probably 7 or 8 years now. As far as I know, it's still working great. So that's what really started this journey.
That's awesome.
That's cool. You know, they always say the frustration is the mother of all inventions. You know,
yeah.
It's see a need, fill a need. So it's kind of
cool. Yeah, it was for sure.
What separates for those of us that don't know a whole heck of a lot about batteries? What separates a lithium battery from a lead acid battery? Why is the lithium so much better?
I think today the biggest separator is the longevity. So I want to be careful how I word this because there's misconceptions all over the internet. A lithium battery, let's say a 100 amp hour lithium battery and a 100 amp hour lead acid battery are both just a 100 amp hour battery. Your lithium battery isn't going to magically last for 200 amp hours or for 20 hours. But the big thing with lithium is you can charge and discharge this battery for thousands of times, where a lead acid battery, you can only do it 2, 3, 400 times, depending on the application. So the lifespan is your big gainer. Lead acid batteries, if you're using them hard, you're going to be burning through them every couple of years. I see people saying 2 years on a boat and they're burned up, and the next guy says 5. So it really just depends on how you use them. But with a lithium battery, we have the data and we have the proof now that you can completely discharge the battery to 0 and recharge it like 3,000 to 4,000 times. So that means 3,000 to 4,000 10-hour days. I mean, do the math. That's 365. That's like almost 10 years if you go fishing every day.
That's a lot of fishing right there. You're talking my language.
Right. So that's the biggest one. And the second biggest is probably the weight. You talk about changing batteries in a boat or just pulling your boat. I mean, you're literally in the boats today, you're losing 200 to 300 pounds when you go from lead acid to lithium.
Yeah. And I was always running prior to running MillerTech lithiums. I had lead acid batteries, and I think I did the math, and I was just over 300 pounds because I had the biggest lead acid money could buy because running all the electronics, trolling motor. I got a lead foot, so I'm on the trolling motor. It's on 100, and there wasn't a day out there I didn't kill everything. So to have that ability to go for long periods of time like that, and like you said, plug them in and don't worry about it because you're good for 3,000-4,000 cycles.
Yes. What are your since we're on the subject? Well, I guess we're coming off the subject, but what's your opinion on the lightweight of a lithium battery? Have you ever noticed your boat not performing as well? I mean, we get some of these people there's actually a company now making a weighted battery tray. So there's some controversy out there. Can you tell me what your experience is? I don't fish, so I'm always curious to hear it from the horse's mouth. Is there a problem with these lightweight batteries?
I wouldn't call it a problem. I did notice when I went from lead acid to lithium, like I said, I lost just over 300 pounds. A bass boat is designed to carry all of that weight from the cockpit, the center console, to the motor in the back part of the boat, right? So I eliminated that 300 pounds. I lost about 0.8 to 1.2 miles an hour, depending on what the conditions were. But now that when my live wells are full, or I've got an extra co-angler with extra gear, or my team partner, or anything like that, my hole shot doesn't change. My hole shot increased, which I'd rather have a better hole shot to get up and get going in shallow situations or short distances. I fish a lot of rivers and stuff like that. So a little bit on the top end speed, but performance-wise, you gain everything back on that, in my opinion, with the hole shot. Now you're right back. You had 30 gallons of water at 8 pounds a gallon in your live well, and you're right back to where you were with your lead acid battery. So we're not adding that on top of it. Now we're getting back to where we were. So all in all, I think it's a benefit. And a mile, like I said, a mile an hour, maybe it makes a difference if you're running for 2 hours one direction, but I'd rather have the capability of standing on that trolling motor for 8 hours and knowing my batteries aren't going dead, and not having to, if we're, like I said, Mississippi River, Wisconsin River around the house here, currents are 3, 4, 5, 6 miles an hour, depending on time of year. I can spot lock on a wing dam and I don't have to worry about it. I can stay there all day if I want to. Not, hey, I've got 2 hours and I got to find something else to do because my batteries are going to be dead. Yeah, no, there's definitely plenty of benefits. I guess, what is your opinion, or what do you think? Is there a possibility, because these boats, like you said, and I've heard this all the time, these boats were designed, when they designed these boats, there's so much thought that goes into this. These boats were designed for a few hundred pounds of batteries all the way in the back of the boat. Do you think there's a chance, let's say Icon or one of the newer brands, do you think when lithium, let's say 5 years, 10 years, when everybody has lithium batteries, because everybody is going to have lithium batteries. I have people calling me and say they will never have lithium batteries. Well, maybe you will pass away before, but someday everybody will have lithium batteries because it just makes so much sense. Right.
But when that happens, do you think boat manufacturers will restructure their boats? Do you think there's a way to do that to where you can get back up to those original, you can gain back that miles per hour that you lost? I mean, I personally think there's a way to do it, but what do you think?
Yeah, there's definitely a way to do it. I I think the outcry from the anglers and from the community buying boats would have to be pretty loud. I don't think the boat manufacturers are going to worry too much about, maybe somebody like you said, like Icon, that's newer to market. Maybe they already do. I don't know. I'm not familiar with their boats. But like I said, mile an hour, 2 miles an hour, there's a lot of different things you can do with changing, the props. Working a prop, you can put a 2-degree wedge between your jack plate and your motor. Because a lot of the new motors, you got to remember too, those are all digital now. So you can't fool them as much. So there's different ways. I'm talking with Mercury technicians and stuff like that. There are different things you can do to raise that performance back up a little bit. But honestly, in my opinion, it might take a while because you're not losing enough to make them be concerned about it.
Maybe it would happen more for boat manufacturers when they're designing a new model. Now with lithium, they might start looking at some of those, like, hey, we have a few hundred pounds less. So I agree. I don't think they're going to change things they already have, but I think new models coming out, I would hope that the engineers are looking at that.
I would think so. They got to stay relevant and stay, just kind of like the car world. We've always got the newest, latest, and greatest in the luxury features of a vehicle, or the engines, or fuel savings, or suspension and ride. Something like that. I would think that the boat world would be doing the same.
Yeah.
Definitely. So watching, you had a 10-minute video here a couple weeks back on a tour of your facility, which is absolutely amazing. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
One of the things that caught my eye and that you touched on was your testing facility. You had a whole wall of, I don't know exactly the terminology for them, but you had batteries hooked up to them. I'm assuming you were cycling those. Is that what was going on in the testing facility?
Yeah. So we have these test stations, and we're actually getting rid of that whole wall in the next 6 months, and we have a brand new testing, like a $50,000 testing machine coming in. It's actually here. I'm just waiting till it takes 380 3-phase or 308 3-phase, something crazy. So we have to get it wired. But the wall you saw was testing stations. Those machines can charge and discharge a battery automatically. You can set it to 500 cycles or 1,000 cycles and just walk away. And it'll test and it'll keep all the data, like the charge curve, the discharge curve. And there's even ways that you can use you can set the temperature to make the machine think that the battery, you can have the battery so it's heated or it's cold to see what it's going to do in those different temperatures. So there's a lot of things with the smaller ones we have. The new machine we got is all contained in one. So it's like an 8-bank, and you can charge a lot faster and it's a lot more efficient. Plus the software on it is a lot better. The ones we had that you saw in the video they're very good, but they're like anything else. We've had them for a few years and things get better and better. So we're upgrading to a state-of-the-art machine that can really give us some crazy technical data, which is going to be amazing.
That's awesome. And that's why I think one of the things that separates you guys from other lithium battery companies is you're doing all of that. You're testing, hey, if you've got a problem, we're going to figure out why it is and we're going to fix it. And it's not secondhand information. It's coming right from the horse's mouth, from you, from your team. And you understand exactly what the issue is and how to handle it. And it definitely separates you.
I think it does. And the other thing too is if you notice, all of our batteries are reclosable. So if you look at your cases, they have these screws all the way around. And that was something the first few years, and it's still, I could name, there's a few that have that. But I would say 80% or 90% of the brands that we see in the bass world or in the fishing industry right now, our competitors, all have these cases where the lid is epoxy sealed. And they might argue that having this epoxy seal means that it's 100% waterproof. We figured out a way. We have one part from the bottom of going up, and then we have 2 parts coming down. So water has to go down and has to go back up at least a ½ inch. And on top of that wall, there's a very, very sticky O-ring that goes all the way around. So it's exactly the same O-ring that you would use to seal all kinds of things.
Sure.
We know it works. O-rings work and seals work.
Right.
But what I wanted to say is that gives us the ability when somebody sends a battery back, all our batteries are repairable. We can open the battery with our facility now. I mean, we really don't have any batteries that we're recycling, because I get these questions on the internet all the time. What are you doing with your recycled batteries? You know, you're bad for the environment because these batteries you can't recycle, and what are you going to do with them? Well, I mean, knock on wood, we're going to have batteries to recycle at some point, and there are ways to do it that's not bad for the environment, just so people know. But at this point, we really don't have that many batteries to recycle because we can fix them. If the BMS goes bad, or if the cell goes bad, we send the battery back, we open it, and I mean, 10 screws, the lid's off, and we get right in there. We can pull the guts out. We can do anything we need to do, put it back in there, throw it on a tester overnight. The next day, boom, get shipped back to the customer, and he's good to go. So
That's
I think,
awesome.
to me, from a financial standpoint and from making sense, one of our sales guys, I won't say his name, but he used to be a salesperson for another lithium company. And he told me personally that company would get, a lot of batteries back for warranty. And he said they had skids and skids of batteries sitting there, all wrapped up, and they were just going to go to recycle. He said they never touched them. These batteries come back, and they don't even, if the customer says it's bad, they don't have people. They don't have enough employees to do this stuff. I mean, hiring people that want to learn about batteries and without paying them crazy money is not that simple. And I think that's another strength we have with our Amish community is employees are plentiful. I mean, if we use our employees well and pay them well, I have a list of people wanting to work here.
That's
and
cool.
I think that is a blessing. I mean, not every factory or manufacturer has that privilege, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's the hiring game. I've been self-employed for just over 20 years now. I have a great team that works for me. I take very good care of them. I do my best, anything that they need. But yeah, I haven't tried to hire anybody in a couple of years.
But when we do, we don't.
Yeah,
we don't get anybody.
Nobody even applies. Nobody wants to work that hard anymore. Nobody wants to be outside when it's hot, when it's cold.
Since COVID, if I have to be honest, I mean, since COVID, our workforces went. Sorry, but anyway, so I think that's a good thing that sets us apart as well, is we can be sustainable. We can fix the batteries instead of just sending you a new one and dumping the old one as useless. And then our warranty. I mean, I think maybe you were going to ask about that. I don't know, but our warranty and customer service is probably our two main things that we work on to be. I have a business advisor, and his philosophy is, and I agree with it, you can't do everything right. You can't do everything better than everybody else. Don't kid yourself. We're not perfect, and you're never going to be perfect. So there's no reason for you to come to work and to try today to beat everybody on price, beat everybody on service, beat everybody on quality, beat everybody on everything, because you're not going to succeed. So our philosophy is pick a few things that we know that we can do better than other people and other companies, and then focus on those and make those so good that they stand out and people notice, and it makes a difference in the product when they buy or when they deal with us. So that's kind of our philosophy.
Well, and I can, being part of the MillerTech team, I can definitely attest to that. I had this last summer, I had an issue with the battery. Come to find out after I sent it back to you, it was actually my issue, nothing to do with the battery. I had something that got underneath my battery tray, actually rubbed a hole in the battery and shorted that out and my charger out and everything. But it was a Saturday, middle of the afternoon, and I reached out to Sean. And I said, run me through some diagnostics here. I got an issue. I'm, dead ship, and my trolling motor's dead, blah, 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 pre-fishing for a tournament. And so he, let's do this, that. I got to a power source, plugged it in. We ran some diagnostics. And he's like, man, I think something's wrong with it. I'll send you shipping labels, get it to me. So that was Monday, got it. By Wednesday, I had new batteries. We were back rolling this and that. And I called Sean. I said, man, I really, you took time on a Saturday. I really appreciate that. And he goes, well, I'm sorry to tell you, but you're not special. I said, what do you mean I'm not special? I said, I'm part of your team. I figured that's why you answer the phone. He's like, dude, I answer the phone for anybody that owns one of our products. anybody that does business with us, we'll answer the phone whenever we are able to and take care of them any which way we can immediately. And that resonates throughout your whole team. Talking to Roman and different things in the factory, and Sean and Dean and yourself, and A, you guys know your stuff, and B, you are there willing to help 24/7. And that's, this day and age, that's amazing.
Yeah. So, and like I said, that's we might not be the cheapest. I think we have I hope our quality and ease of use and stuff is par to some of the other brands. But I wouldn't sit here and say we have the best quality or the newest technology, because we really don't. We kind of have the same technology that a lot of these companies are using, but I do believe that there are a few things that we can do better, and hopefully people notice that.
Yeah, well, definitely. And your marketing. You must have an amazing marketing guy, or I don't know if you do that yourself. I know Sean's involved in a bit of that, but MillerTech is everywhere on all the major circuits. I was actually watching Fishing University. They were on a lake, not a favorite lake of mine here in Wisconsin, and they're now with MillerTech. And Rachel here is
I'm a huge NASCAR fan.
So NASCAR
when you showed up in NASCAR, I was more than excited.
And her guy retired, so now she has somebody to cheer
I need
for.
a new driver, so I know where I'm going.
Yeah, you got to follow Noah. He was a problem child, but he kind of figured that stuff out. And I always say that problem children, if they give you a lot of headaches when they're young, and if they get that figured out, and they can turn that the energy they use to be a headache and to be a problem child, they can turn that into a positive energy. Those are usually the people that can excel. I mean, I guess you probably wouldn't want to talk to my dad, because I was a problem child. I mean, I didn't get married till I was 26, and the Amish community, I mean, I had a brother marrying at 19. Most of my siblings were all married by 22 at the oldest. So for me, my mom and dad were like, "Are you never going to settle down and find a girlfriend and get married and do the normal stuff?" And I'm like, "No, I'm having a blast. Like, I'm living it up." But I think that the energy that I used in those days, I still have that same drive and energy. And I think, I mean, honestly, going back to Noah, he did have some controversy a few years ago. But I think if he can keep that, take care of that, and I think he's going to be a very dominant driver in NASCAR in the coming years. Or I hope.
Right. Yes. No, I think so. Yeah, I was pretty excited when I saw that. I was like, well, I know where I got to go now.
Yeah, we're doing, I think it's going to drop today at 10. 9:58, so you probably haven't seen it.
No.
At 10 o'clock, it's dropping all over the internet, but we are partnering with him for 3 races.
Nice.
Yeah. Three fully wrapped cars.
Awesome.
And we're going to be at Pocono, which is, I guess they have like a fan. Sorry, my earpiece fell out. They have a fan something where we're going to have a 20 by 20 booth. So if you like NASCAR, if you ever want to go to a race, that might be the one to have you guys come to.
Yeah, we'll have to check the fishing schedule. We actually got to one last year.
Talladega.
Really?
We went to Talladega at the end of the year last year, because that was the tournament they moved on us because of after the hurricanes had hit. So they moved us to Alabama, and it was last minute. And I said to him, I'm like, well, because he had said, we didn't know we were going to this lake. It's the last one of the year. I'm just treating it like a vacation. I'm like, well, since you say that, we're going to be an hour from Talladega. Do you want to not pre-fish on Sunday and take me to the race? And he said yes, and off to Talladega we went.
Well, that could work good, because maybe having Brian there at the booth. I don't know if I'm sure people there also follow fishing.
For sure. A lot of them.
We'll have to keep that in mind.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
We would love it.
So how did you said you started out in the logging industry. How did you get over into the fishing industry and become so dominant in the fishing market?
Well, I mean, like I said earlier, that's the way I got started. I ended up making a few batteries then for our neighbors. Well, I made a few for myself after I failed for that initial. I thought, well, I just couldn't make a battery for that application, but I sure can make batteries for my buggy, or for my LED lamp in my kitchen, because we don't have electricity, so we run all our LED lighting with batteries. So I made a few for myself, And mind you, the first batteries were in a plywood box, and I'm ashamed, but I made a plywood box, and then on the outside, I coated it with truck bed liner.
Okay.
You know, the spray on stuff that's really bumpy, because I wanted to protect this wood because it's sliding around and whatever. So the first batteries were horrible looking, but they worked. And our neighbors, they never heard of lithium batteries, and you have a battery that's 14 pounds. You know, can I get my hands on some? I'm like, yeah, I'll put some together. So I made them for the neighbors, made them for this guy, that guy, and then a local solar company wanted some, and it just blew up. Really, I never wanted to quit my job. I loved my job, so it kind of got dragged into this. But anyway, once I realized in 2019, I quit my job, my day job. At that time, I was running this business, and that I was doing that during the day, and it was crazy. I had just gotten married, and then I got into it, and I was mostly just selling in the Amish communities until I'd say 2019, maybe 2020 was the first year I didn't really know anything about the fishing industry, or I didn't know anything about Bass Pro Tour or Elite Series. I knew nothing. And then I met up with Dean, and Dean Yoder was kind of my in to the fishing industry. I'll give him that credit for sure, because he came and talked to me at a trade show, and he's like, "Did you ever think about selling your batteries to people with boats?" I'm like, "Well, no, I'll sell them to anyone," but I really didn't, put any effort into it. He's like, "Well, I know some guys that might be interested. I'll talk to my buddies." And he ended up Dean bought batteries, sold some to his buddies, and then that's kind of opened the doors to, hey, if this, and he's like, "Yes, this is a thing. People need lithium batteries in their boats." And it was just becoming, like 6 years ago, it was just becoming, there were just a few anglers that had it. And Dean is the one that got me hooked up with Jacob. Jacob Wheeler's been with us for almost 5 years now. And then just from there, just slowly, we got a couple pros first. At that time, we didn't even have a website yet. We were like not even on the map.
Right.
But once we had a few of these pros and I was paying them, I kind of realized, well, people need to be able to find us. Because before that, we were just an Amish company, and we sold through Amish distributors. We were, doing well, but we didn't have an online presence. So it was hard for us to get into the fishing market. Then we got the website going, build a website, put that out. And then the last 3 years have just been, and what I kind of figured is, you asked how I got into the fishing industry, mostly just by sponsoring pros and then going to these trade shows and just advertising on social media, trying to get people to talk about it. And it's been, I'm not going to say numbers, but it's the last couple of years have been not as profitable as I hope the next few will be, because I was trying to get in.
Sure.
I mean, I do all my own marketing up to now. I don't design everything. So I have a graphic designer, but I'm the one that's calling the shots on, we're going to, now Sean does the pros. Sean is my contact between MillerTech and the pros, because I just can't reach out to you, to David Dudley, to all these guys.
Sure.
So you need somebody that you can call and he answers the phone. I'm busy with 1,000 other things. So Sean does help me some with marketing on that end. But as far as what are we going to do with NASCAR, what ads are we going to run in the Bassmaster catalog, in the magazine? On Bass Pro Tour, we had the time clock on live. I don't know if you saw that.
Oh, yeah.
So all those divisions I'm still making, and it's what I really love. I actually have Roman and Dan now. I have two people that are pretty much taking over engineering. I used to do engineering and marketing. I was never really in sales. All the way at the start, I did a little bit of sales, but as soon as I hired people, the first positions I took care of was sales, because I never really liked to sit on the phone and try to explain. I just don't have the patience.
Right. You feel like you could be doing something else. Yep.
Yeah, I like to be, I don't know, inventing something or and I love marketing. I mean, I really do like to see what I could put out there and see what return I can get on investment. It's kind of a challenge.
Yeah, it's kind of a cat and mouse game. It's the thrill of the hunt. Absolutely.
It is, exactly. So yeah, I do most of the marketing. And as far as the bass industry, I don't know where it's going to go. What's your opinion, Brian, on what percent, let's say you go on a lake, what percent of the boats the bass boat, let's say what percent of bass boats that cost 20,000, people pay 20,000 or more for their boat. What percent of those boats have lithium batteries in them today?
That's a good question.
Is it 50?
I don't know, because you kind of gotta. So there's those guys that that I don't have $100,000 for a new boat, but I've got this boat. It works just fine, but I've got every accessory possible on it. I've got the latest greatest electronics. I've got maybe a new motor or a new trolling motor on it. I've got the high end batteries in the back of it. I don't know if it would be that high or not. That's a really good question. I think that might be a little high.
Okay, because those are things that we discuss in our marketing meetings is how many people are still out there, because someday everybody's going to have lithium batteries. When that happens, yes, you're going to have people buying new boats, but right now I think the market's still, I mean, it's very saturated, trust me.
Yep.
But I do think there's still, well, we know there is because we get calls every day from, I'd say 40 to 60-year-old guys, semi-retired. They made some good money. They have this nice bass boat. This is their baby, and they're looking to upgrade to lithium batteries. And these guys, I always tell my people that help me with marketing is we have to market these batteries different because these people do research. There's not a big chance that somebody's going to decide today I want lithium batteries for my boat. I'm just going to go online and do a Google search and I'm going to buy these. That just doesn't happen. It's very different than trying to sell a hat or a shirt or whatever.
Sure.
People really take this seriously. This is, like I said, this is their baby, and they take a lot of pride in having the best. So they do a lot of so we get a lot of calls where people say, yeah, I've been watching, I've been doing a lot of research, and I just see that, either, and it's interesting to see how they came to the decision to buy from us because there's so many options. So it really, yeah, I think marketing is really important the next few years, to stay in front of those people that have boats that need lithium batteries.
Absolutely. What other markets? What's your, I guess, strongest market? What else are you in besides the fishing industry? Obviously, batteries have multiple uses for a lot of different people in the world.
So currently we're not as diversified as we should be, but I went into the fishing industry and put most of my money in there because you need a lightweight battery for your boat. A lightweight battery in a golf cart isn't a big deal. Who cares? Once it's in there, or in your camper. Yes, you might save a little bit of gas mileage in your travels, but it's not gonna be but in a bass boat, something that floats, you remove 300 pounds, that's pretty awesome.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So I saw an advantage where fishing people, the lightweightness would be a big advantage for them. So that was one. The other was having something that has a longer run time in a smaller space. There again, in a golf cart, you have this big compartment, you have this full of lead acid batteries. You tear all those out, you put 2 lithiums in there, all that extra space, it doesn't do you any good.
Right.
But in your bass boat, that space does you good. You love it, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So those are 2 things that I think really made the fishing industry more attractive for me to market to, because I saw where you can solve people's problems with these lithiums. Where we're now going into the RV and golf cart market. We're dabbling with it. We're doing some ads and we're doing some direct mailers. We have like 500 contacts that we're sending mailers to, trying to get dealerships set up. So we have some active campaigns in other markets, but we are finding it's a lot harder to get in than it is in the fishing industry. I think it's because the benefits to the end user aren't as easily noticed, if that makes sense.
Sure. No, absolutely. Yeah. Everything when I am getting, depending on what kind of lake I'm going to, if we're going to the Great Lakes, I'm going down minimum, taking all the stuff out I can out of the bow, keeping it in the back to keep my bow light so I could, if I'm running big water, different things. And that minimizing weight and maximizing space is like you said, huge in a boat. Yeah,
that and fast charging also with boats. In the fishing industry, you get in late at night and you want to get out early in the morning. With lead acid batteries, I know some guys have had problems not being able to get a full charge just because of how the internal density on a lead acid battery is. I always tell people it's like when you're charging a lead acid versus a lithium. Imagine charging a lead acid is like dumping honey from one container to the next. It's slow, it's sticky, it doesn't want to move, you kind of have to push it. With lithium, it's like dumping water. You just go, phew. You could, yeah, your boat could be dead empty. And if we had the correct chargers, the batteries are capable of handling this. We just don't do it on a regular basis because the chargers would be too expensive and it's not really necessary. But in reality, your batteries are all capable of being charged in 1 hour.
Really?
So if your batteries are completely dead, I can put chargers in there. You can plug it in 1 hour, they're completely full. And that full is an actual full. With lead acid batteries, if you charge them too fast, like spraying water into, let's say, a 5-gallon bucket with a nozzle.
Yep.
To fill it completely, you have to go really slow at the end.
Yep.
That's lead acid. With lithium, you can just blast it in there. It doesn't spill out. It just spills up nicely. It's like taking the nozzle off and just letting it flow. It's exactly the same thing with lithium. So lithium is amazing. You can tell. I mean this stuff is.
Yeah.
Once you know how it works and how the energy flows and how efficient it is, lead acid just makes no sense.
Mm-hmm. I remember the old club days of we'd be on the road at staying at a local motel on the river. There'd be 15 guys, 15, 18 boats or whatever, and everybody'd have a 3-way plugged into a 3-way. And if you're at the end of it, your charger, didn't have enough amps, and you weren't charged in the morning, and you didn't, like you said, you didn't want too many amps on your onboard charger because then your batteries, overheated them. And yeah, it was. I remember those days, and now the ease of I'm done at night, I plug it in, I go out the next morning, and it's 100% ready to go. It's nice. It's very convenient.
Yeah, and I also think the Bluetooth with the phones, everybody has phones, and the technology that you can have with a lithium battery compared to lead acid, I think just fits into this society. I mean, everybody is digital, fingertips. That's how we're wired as human beings, and I think that's also helping the lithium. The lithium to explode is just because now you have a way of looking at your battery, where with lead acid, there's no way you could do that.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Now, a term that gets used a lot, and I don't know that much about. I've had a few conversations with Sean's on battery maintenance, different things like that. Obviously, what you've shared on the internet. Everybody says, "Oh, my lithiums went to sleep." Like I ran them down too far and they went to sleep. I've heard some people say, "Oh, you got to do X, Y, Z to wake them up." I've heard other people say that's not a thing. Lithium doesn't go to sleep. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes. So lithium, they call it going to sleep, but I'll explain. So you have these cells inside the battery and there's a control board. So if these cells get down to a certain point, so we set ours at 2.5 volts. So if a cell drops down to that voltage, this control board will disconnect all the outgoing power. And that's just there because if you would run that cell all the way down to 0 volts, it would be ruined. You could not recharge it.
Oh, okay.
So we have to have that cutoff point where we save our cell. So if we
Sure.
and now what's happening is, and I think you'll understand, but if the circuit board shuts it off, now there's no. If you put a voltmeter on the terminals, there's no voltage because it doesn't want you to draw anything out of the battery.
It's protecting itself.
Yeah, it's protecting itself. So we can call it going to sleep, whatever you want, but it's protecting itself. Now the problem that people have is they don't have a lithium specific charger. Lead acid chargers were all designed. So a lead acid charger, let's say you pick it up and you have 2 clamps. What happens if those 2 clamps get together? It creates a short, it sparks, and the charger burns up.
Yep.
So what companies were doing for 20 years is making a lead acid charger that if the leads were not connected to a battery, if the positive and negative lead didn't realize that it was connected to voltage, they would tell the charger to not put out any power. That way there would never be a short of the wires. Well, now you have this lead acid charger, you hook it up to your lithium, Well, it doesn't realize it's connected to a battery because there's no voltage. So it won't start charging.
Okay.
So now if people have that situation, they can either jump it off of another battery, and all you're doing there is getting voltage to the charger leads so it starts charging.
So then it recognizes that there's actually a battery hooked up to it.
Yes,
Okay.
and it starts charging, and then you take the other battery off, and you're good. Or if you have a jump start in your boat,
Sure.
same thing. Put a jump start on it, you jump start it. All that's doing is giving the charger some voltage so it can start operating. So that's one part of it. The next part is we recommend you just buy a lithium charger. Most companies' lithium chargers should be, if they're not, ours are designed that if the battery is empty and shut off, as soon as you put it on there, because that battery still has usually about 1 to 2 volts output, even if it's shut off. You can't really draw power out, but it still has an active voltage at the terminals, just a very little bit. Well, our chargers realize as soon as you connect it, and if it sees any voltage at all, automatically it'll start charging.
Okay.
So all our chargers can turn on a battery that is in sleep mode or protective state, would be the technical term. Does that make sense? Is that too much?
No, that makes perfect sense. I'm telling you, you're really good at
right.
Yeah, putting this into terms to everybody. I mean, the general public can understand. So yeah, because I've had issues I remember the lead acid days, being out of town for a tournament and leaving a switch on for the drive down there. And by the time I got there, my cranky battery was deader than a doornail. And then you had to go find an auto parts store that could put a powerful trickle charge on it.
Yep.
And
bring it
the
back.
battery there for 2 days and then come back when it was, because if you just put your other charger on there, like you said, it didn't recognize anything and it would just kick off and say it was charged, but there was no working voltage on the battery. So that's
cool. Why.
That's very cool. So what for 2025 here, what do you got in the works? Anything, the latest and greatest new products coming out?
We do have a bunch of stuff. Well, one is a 16-volt battery, and we could go down a bunny trail on this. I'd like to get your opinion on it. I don't know if you've dabbled with it, but I don't know. I'm not going to get into it too much, but I have my opinion on it. I think it's a craze that has been created by certain other companies. And we haven't jumped on that bandwagon because all Lowrance and all these people I talk to tell me, no, it doesn't give you a better image. It's all just imagination, and in people's minds, it makes a difference because higher voltage has to make a difference, right? But what people don't understand, if they had the correct wiring in their boat to get at least, if you got the same voltage to your graph as you have at your battery, which is going to take an 8-gauge cable or a 6-gauge, it's going to take some pretty beefy wire, even though the loads aren't that big. If you use big enough wire, you'll have a high voltage. If your battery's 13.2, your graph should be seeing 13.2. I can promise you, boats coming out of the factory are probably, if the battery's 13.2, the graph's probably going to see like 12.8, 12.9. There's a voltage drop because the wires are too small. So put all that aside. We have these people that have small wiring. They go to a 16-volt battery. Now the 16-volt battery is maybe sitting at 16 volts. Now they have 14 at their graphs. So now they get a better image, but they think it's all because of 16-volt battery, and it is in their situation. But all they would have had to do is put in some bigger wiring, and it would have done the same thing. Anyway, that beside, we do get probably 2, 3, 4 requests a day for 16-volt batteries because these other companies are offering them. So we are coming out with a full line. We're going to come out with 3 models to start 16-volt batteries.
Interesting. Now, I'm assuming that you will have to come up with a 16-volt charger.
I know it's all a bunch of crap, but yeah, now we have to come out with a 16-volt charger. I think for now we're just going to do a standalone 16-volt charger with its own plug. Maybe in the future we'll see what the industry wants, but in the future we might do because we're just ready to release our on-the-run charger. Did you know about that one?
I have not heard about that one.
So that one has been in beta testing for 1.5 years. We have a couple anglers using it right now, and they're super excited. And we have our order placed at the factory. It's being made right now. We should have them for the spring. Those are going to be, we decided to take, Monster Marine is one of our competitors. They have a real nice one. What's the other big one? The Power Pole has a very fancy one with an app and everything. We decided to just do what we like to do, and that is go back to basics, have an on-the-run charger. It's all in one, but it's no crap. We just want it to work and some simple LEDs that you can glance at and know what it's doing. And basically, if you're running down the lake and your big battery is full on your cranking, it's going to take power from there and transfer it into your trolling motor batteries. And we have two of the guys that are testing them the one guy has used it for at least 15 or 20 trips, and he has never charged his batteries.
Really?
He has never plugged them into electric yet.
That's impressive right there.
When you're running down the lake 20 minutes or a half-hour run, as soon as the big battery is full, and your big battery should be full because if you had it plugged in, so to start with, your big battery fills up, then it takes the excess power, puts it into 36. Soon the 36s are full. So that one's on the way, but we're not going to do, I already had people say, well, are you going to do an on-the-run charger that has cranking battery input? So if your cranking battery is full, it takes extra power and puts it into the 36-volt trolling motor batteries and into the 16-volt graph batteries. And I'm like, no, not yet. Wait, let's not become. I just don't like complicated things, because then imagine a customer calling me and saying, my charger doesn't work or my 36-volt battery. To try to figure out what actually failed or where the problem is insane. So I think if we keep it with the 16-volt standalone charger and this on the run, I can say, well, 16-volt battery isn't working, so it has to be that standalone 16-volt charger or the battery. I think it's just going to make it easier for us to offer a great service and a great technical. I think it'll just be better, but we'll see what happens. So yeah, on the run charger is coming. 16-volt batteries are coming. We are working on sodium ion. We're just doing some testing currently. There is one or two of our competitors that have a sodium option, but I don't think it's been proven well enough for me. We sell too many batteries to sell something that we aren't sure is okay. So we are still in the testing phase on those.
I gotcha.
And the gain with sodium, just in case anybody wants to know, sodium, the only reason we would consider sodium ion, two reasons. Two reasons that we would, and then a few that we might not. Number one is sodium is a mineral or something that you can find just under the Earth's crust. It's not that far down, and it's all over the Earth. So there's unlimited amounts, which is opposite from lithium.
Sure.
So that makes it very attractive to engineers, technicians, and people all across the world trying to get this to work. And it does work now. So that's one reason. The other reason is you can charge sodium ion batteries all the way down to, they can be down to 4 degrees, and you can still charge them. So that eliminates the heater thing.
Yep.
We have so many people calling and asking they want a battery with a built-in heater, and I've just never been a fan of that. We are releasing a few models for the people up north, but sodium would take care of that, which is very exciting for me.
I could think of a few applications. Not even in the fishing world, in the outdoor construction world, I could think of multiple applications that would be phenomenal.
Right.
Yeah, right. And the bad thing about sodium, a few bad things. One, currently, and I think this is going to get better in the next few years, which is why we're not gung-ho on it, is currently they're not very energy dense. So let's say you have our 12-volt 135 cranking battery. I think you use one of those.
Yep.
In that same case, currently, I could probably only get a 12-volt 90 amp hour or maybe 100 amp hour in that same space.
Gotcha. Okay.
So right now they're kind of bulky yet. So I don't know if people are going to want to go back to having 6 batteries in their boat because they don't hold a lot of energy per battery. So we're still working on that. I think it looks very promising. I'm just kind of holding off until maybe the chemistry and the things like that advanced to the point where we can compete with a few more characteristics of lithium.
Mhm.
That's cool. That's very cool. Yeah, and to go back to the 16 volt, I'm with you. If you have the right gauge wire and a clean power source, a good power source to your graph, you don't need the 16 volt. I run two 135 amp hour 12 volt and two 60 hour 36 volt, both in parallel. And I have your charger. I'm done at the end of the day. I plug it in. Plug in one lead, one thing to worry about, one set of lights to worry about, and everything works. And I have, I will be changing it here shortly, but I have 5 graphs on my boat, listening to the radio, run the live wells, power poles. I've got everything that we need and then some, and never have an issue with power. So, yeah, the whole, I'm with you. I'm not on board with the 16 volt either. But if there's a demand for it, why not jump on it?
Yeah, that's what we ended up deciding. If the industry is actually going to demand that, and we have people asking us for it as a manufacturer, and if we want to offer good, products to our customers that they want, it's impossible. If somebody really wants a 16 volt battery, if that's what they decided that they want, we're not here to tell you, no, we refuse to sell you that. Go buy it from our competitor. That's not the way, I'm sure you build some houses or some things that you probably wouldn't really want for yourself.
Right. Yeah.
So it is part of life. The other cool thing, do you do any hunting?
Oh, yeah. Yep.
And I don't know if go ahead.
I'd say mainly deer hunting. Did a little bit of pheasant hunting this year. I grew up hunting anything and everything. But I actually took my youngest 2 kids deer hunting this year for the first time. So kind of trying to get them into the woods and get it going. So
cool. Do you use any you use cell cameras at all?
I do not yet. I have a bunch of buddies that run it, but I do not run it.
So the cell camera thing is, if depending on what setting you have, it's not bad. But if you're getting automatic, instant pictures and video, it takes a lot of battery. And we've had almost a year ago now, a pretty big YouTuber came to us, and he wants lithium batteries, and we made a bunch, just kind of put them together, homemade, maybe, not very professional, but they worked great for what he wanted. And he got like 100 of them. And then that got us to thinking, why don't we come out with a battery that you can use for your cell camera, just an external battery pack that plugs into the cell camera. But I knew there's nothing else like this really available. There's some options, but nothing like we're coming out with. So we spent the last 8 months really, we're making it, the whole thing is going to be made in the US. Now we're obviously buying the cells, because you have to buy the cells from overseas, but we're buying the cells. But as far as the case, we're doing all aluminum, and we're going to hydro dip it with a camo, a stainless steel cable, and so the chipmunks and squirrels can't chew through it. And we're trying to make this thing like foolproof. And on a cell camera, our testing is shown on a cell camera on high, like maxed out video, instant transfer, everything. You're going to get about 4 months of runtime.
Wow. And then I'm sure, like most of you, can bring it back to the house overnight, charge it back up, put it out there for another 4 months.
Yes. So the people we're talking to, some of the the one person we're talking to has 100 cameras. Now he hunts for, he has a huge YouTube channel. And if he endorses these, like he's saying he will, if they work the way he wants them to, he'll need 200 batteries.
Wow.
So he'll have 100 out there on the cameras, and he'll have 100 at the house being charged. And then every 4 months, he's going to take his 4-wheeler, and they're just going to go around and swap them all out.
That's crazy. And that, like you said, that's a high output too. So if you put it on, where it just sends you a picture of what showed up and not, don't overdo it, you could probably get 8 months to a year out of it.
You can get 6 months to 8 months easy for a normal guy. So we're pretty excited about it. Like I said, we've spent a bunch of money on I don't know, have you ever heard of the term hydro dipping?
Oh, yeah.
So we got all the dip tanks and we got a spray booth, and we've spent a bunch of money to try to do it right, and I could have done it offshore, but I really think with the hunting community we're going to be going after, they'll appreciate the American-made product. So,
for sure,
I agree. I 100% agree. That's
so yeah, a couple couple things there we're working on.
That's awesome.
Very good. Very good. So back to, you were talking about the sodium lithium and the cold weather. Is there ever, so in the construction world, my guys, I've always had generator. We still have generators, electric saws, electric cords. And in the past, this winter, I would say, is the first winter that we're almost 100% battery power. We got battery powered saws, drills,
Yep.
I mean, everything. I currently have 300 feet of extension cord from a power source into my job trailer with a infrared heater in there. And it was 6 degrees this morning, trying to keep my trailer warm enough so that my batteries don't die overnight. Where do we go? How do we fix that issue? What do you think? You got any solutions to that outside of the sodium?
No, I mean, sodium might take care of that, but I think it's going to be years until sodium will advance to the point where, so let's say you have a DeWalt. What do you use? DeWalt Milwaukee or what? Hilti?
Makita.
Makita? Come on, man. No, that's fine. Makita in the Amish community, we all use DeWalt Milwaukee or Makita, and Makita is probably 30%. DeWalt Milwaukee are probably split the rest. So yeah, we always make fun of the Makita people because for me, all the products we produce outside of the batteries most of them are DeWalt Milwaukee or Makita powered, and Makita is usually just a pain in the butt because it's just a small percentage, but you still have to do it. So anyway, That's why I had to say that. I don't really have a problem with.
Well, and we live in Wisconsin. We should probably use Milwaukee.
There you go. Hello.
Right.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I don't see anything happening with sodium for just because take a 6 amp hour DeWalt battery or a Makita or a 12 amp hour. Oh, I forgot they don't make one that big.
No,
no. You take a 5 or 6 amp hour Makita, and then let's just talk about this in terms of lithium iron phosphate like you have in your boat. That same 6 amp hour platform from Makita, because those are lithium cobalt cells.
Okay.
In your boat, you have lithium iron phosphate. You could only maybe get 2 or 3 amp hours in that same spot instead of 6. And with sodium, it's even worse. So you maybe you'll get 1.5 amp hour in that 6 amp hour body. So sodium is nowhere close to being capable of working for power tools at this point. But maybe it'll get there, or maybe they're also working there. I did see, well, there's actually a company called Solid State Marine. I guess they have a solid state battery of some sort. I don't know. There's so many things that engineers are working on. The American government is spending millions and millions of dollars on research for the next big energy storage. That's really what's keeping us from going completely off grid or completely away from the energy. I mean, I think the sun and the wind has enough power. It can create all the energy we need. But the problem is it's not always sunny and it's not always windy.
Right.
So until we develop a battery or a storage solution, it doesn't have to be a battery. It can be water, something. There's crazy things that people are working on. But until we figure out how to store energy for times when the sun's not shining or when the wind isn't blowing, then we're just going to have to use our normal electricity, ways of producing electricity. But I think the day will come, if the world stands that long, the day will come where they'll come up with something that can store massive amounts of energy effectively when the sun shines. Because Elon Musk has already done surveys on this. You could use like half of a state where it's real flat, fill it up with solar panels. Every 25 years, you change them. And I mean, like, I can't remember the number, a couple thousand acres. So it wouldn't even be half of the state. I mean, it's not that much really to power most of the US. But the problem is when the sun stops shining, nobody has power. Right. So we need to figure out how to store. So anyway, back to, there's some crazy research going on what can we do. I saw the one survey or the one podcast they were talking about the government put out like a prize, like a big prize to somebody, and they said it has to be 10 times more energy dense than lithium is right now. So you have your 6 amp hour Makita would be a 60 amp hour Makita.
Oh, wow.
So it has to be 10 times more energy dense, and it has to charge 10 times faster. I can't remember what all the protocols were, But if these college teams or whatever, whoever was working on it, if they come up with something that could do that, they'll win this money. So
somebody will do it. So
eventually it will happen. You're right.
Right. Well, that's awesome, man. I think this is really going to enlighten some people on lithium batteries. Help bring MillerTech. You got, like I said, you guys are everywhere and anywhere right now, and it's awesome. You're great, like I said, great team, great product.
Appreciate
I'm really
that.
proud to be on board with you guys and happy and glad getting to know you. And I will be at the Classic with you this year down in
Awesome.
Dallas Fort Worth, right?
Fort
We're
Worth.
going to be down there,
Yep.
so we'll be down there. Been in contact with Sean about that. So
yeah, I probably won't make it this year. We've school children. It's just harder for me to travel, but I'm trying to get everything set up for ICAST. That happens to be not in school terms, so that's awesome.
there you go.
Yeah.
We're trying to get away for ICAST, and then we're doing a MillerTech tournament. We haven't really talked about too much, but we're doing a MillerTech tournament for our anglers.
Oh, nice.
Which I think it's Bass Pro Tour and Elite Series only. So
Sure.
I guess you got to make it to the elites to fish in that one.
There you go. Get on there.
Yeah, I gotta get my butt in gear. It's the year. I feel good this year.
Yeah.
Good. Awesome, man. All right. Anything else?
No,
No,
I think you covered it, man. Thank you very much for coming on. I appreciate your time, and I know you're a busy guy, and we'll let you get back at it.
Hey, I appreciate you guys having me. Be good. Let me know if there's anything we can do.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.
Bye. All right. We were just talking with Lester Miller from MillerTech and lost my co-host who had to go back to his day job. And now I am joined here with Sean Boggs from MillerTech. Hey, Sean.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
All right.
I can't believe B Post ditched me.
He did. Sorry.
Man, just ditched me.
Yes, he has 3 or 4 job sites going on right now, so he had to get back to the real world.
Yeah.
Got fishing coming up soon, so he's got to work while he can.
Yep. Amen.
So you just get me.
That's totally fine. I enjoy you.
Awesome.
You're the boss anyways.
I do, and he'll say this was my idea, so he's fine with missing it.
Hey, Brian he tapped me at was it the Classic? He tapped me and said she's the boss.
Yes. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. He's probably right.
Definitely.
All right. So we got the whole background on MillerTech from Lester, but I guess we know that you kind of are the one that handles all the angler relations. You handle all the sponsorships, all the anglers' needs. So why don't you kind of give me an overview of what you do with MillerTech?
I handle everything with prospective team members. I make sure that they get their product. I answer any kind of questions that they may have. I help them out in a pinch if they need something right away. I'm basically a jack of all trades.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm good with that. That's kind of the way I am too. So you've got anglers in MLF, Bass, obviously friends in the opens. You got anglers everywhere.
Yeah, NPFL. We've got some college anglers. We've got the whole gamut. Crappie, catfish, redfish. We have a redfish guy. So basically the whole gamut.
Yeah, for sure. So I have a question, and Lester talked about it a little bit. I am obviously a huge NASCAR fan, NASCAR radio, Sirius XM 24/7. And big announcement just came out today that MillerTech is going to be on the car for the primary sponsorship for 3 races, which is super exciting.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't think to ask Lester, how do you go from everything being fishing related to sponsoring in NASCAR?
Luck.
Really?
It comes down to making such a wave in the industry that they take notice.
That's awesome.
You can't just fall into the position. You have to, have a proven product and one that they can get behind and back. Sure. Because if we had product that wasn't worthy, then then, what's the sense of trying to promote something like that?
Right, for sure.
So it's basically the whole package. You know what I mean? I mean, it's the fishing side, it's the, all the industry side, and then it's customer service, it's how we handle our business, it's the products that are available, it's everything.
Yeah, for sure. I know having Noah, that's huge for you guys, and I know
Yeah.
3 races this year will be a big deal. I know I just saw the announcement after Lester talked about it. I saw Michigan, Pocono, and one more, but I can't remember what the third one was. So
I'm hoping that I can get Noah out at Michigan during practice. That's something I really want to do. I mean, there's a lake, I don't know, 5 minutes down the road that we could go. We'll get one of our pros to take him out and catch a fish, and
that'd be super fun.
I mean, he'd love
and
to fish. So
Well, and I was just going to say, a lot of the fan base between NASCAR, I think, and fishing is a lot of the same types of people. So I'm sure there's a huge crossover between the two.
Yeah, I mean, he would absolutely love the idea of escape for a minute, and you know what I mean. Couple hours, go catch some fish, and laugh and joke, and head back to the race.
Yeah, definitely.
I'll even Uber him.
Well, yeah. Why would you turn that down, right? Actually, I would want him to drive for me, but it'd have to be a race car. So
right. Well, my company van is definitely going to be wrapped like a NASCAR, anyways.
I like it. So you're in Michigan setting up for a trade show, correct?
Yeah, the Ultimate Fishing Show in Novi, Michigan.
That's probably a pretty big show.
Yeah, 300,000 plus square feet. It's a big show. Show for the state of Michigan. A lot of people. It's a really good show. Mark Zona, he's one of our pro staffers. We signed him this year. So he's on our pro staff. He's going to be in the booth on Friday and Saturday after his seminars. So people will be able to stop in and get a signature and pictures in front of the MillerTech banner with him. I got Jonathan Van Dam's coming in and going to hang out there with us. He's really looking forward to the MillerTechs this year as well. I think he's doing the opens too.
Yep, he's going back to the open, so he'll be there with us.
So make sure you holler at him, and he's a great guy. Him and Bo Thomas are great guys. So definitely look them up and talk with them. They're good people.
Yeah. For
sure. I can't say that this was all luck. I think it's God's plan and put us all together. And, we all work very well together. So, and that's what's important. So
it is nice having a team. We actually did our podcast last time with 44 Tackle Co. from Florida. Tingry, him and Bobby Bakewell. And we're all on the 44 Tackle team. And it is nice having those teammates when you're out traveling and you're fishing, and bounce ideas off of each other. If you've got a problem, it's nice having that family, and it's nice having, we've got the 44 team, MillerTech team. It's kind of nice having those things.
Yeah. We tell all of our guys, it doesn't matter if you win or lose, it's how you play the game. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Right. You're gonna get out of it what you put into it, and if you're supporting us and you're working with us, then that's what we look forward to. And we help you guys as much as we possibly can. And then we see, some people, they don't want to be, bothered with any kind of problems. And then they wonder why, they're relegated to, inferior brands or companies that don't back their people, Yeah.
No, and actually we talked about that with Lester too. And you were a big part of what you did for Brian when he was having his problems, when he he was just dead in the water. And like he said, you didn't matter what time of the day it was. You answered the phone, you helped him with his
Yeah.
problems, and got him back as fast as we could. So that was awesome. We really
Always.
appreciate that.
Always. It's about working tirelessly for the brand.
Mhm.
You know, we as a team, Lester, Dean, myself, you know, Vernon, Roman, all the guys at the warehouse. We couldn't do it it by ourselves. You know, we really
Right.
lean on each other, we really help each other, and it's great. You know what I mean? I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah. What so between now and the classic in March, do you have a bunch of other trade shows, or these are a couple big ones, or what do you got a full
Yeah.
schedule?
Full schedule. I'm going to East Tennessee, then the Columbus show, and then New England, and then Shipshewana, Indiana, and then Red Crest and the Classic, of course.
Mhm.
And then he said something about Pocono for the NASCAR race,
Right.
and then ICAST, and then the MillerTech tournament, and then hopefully I'll be done so I can fish.
I was gonna say, where do you have time to go fishing?
Right. And there's times where I'm like, I counted, and I think I'm like 23 days away from home in
Oh,
one set. So,
wow.
you know, it's like I come home and then I just, you know,
Mm-hmm.
I got to turn around and go, you know, turn and burn.
I know what it's like. We did 11 tournaments last year, between the 9 of the opens, the nation qualifier, and then he made the national championship. So that was
Right.
11. So the new opens format this year with only the first 4. I mean, hopefully we qualify for the other 3, but starting off with 4 and just looking at our schedule and knowing right now we only have 4 weeks, it's crazy.
Wow.
We are going to throw in, he is throwing in 2 of the nation qualifiers. We're going to do the James River, and we're going to do Lake Erie in Detroit. So
Detroit?
Yep, we're going to be on Erie.
You know, that's my backyard, right?
I do. So we better see you there.
I'm like 60 miles away.
So in your schedule that you just said, you need to make sure you pencil in whatever those dates are that we're up there.
Okay, send them to me. Send them
Yeah, I
to
will.
me. Sure.
Yep.
You know, I'd love to be able to see you guys there.
Yeah, and
That would be a lot of fun.
yeah, he's definitely looking forward to it.
Go out on the water and play a little bit.
Right.
You know, nice. So, yeah. No, I've got a full schedule for shows. You know, I get calls every day. Come to my show. Come to my show, and it's like, I won't ever get home.
Right.
Say I could be on the road every weekend, you know, and I don't want that. I want to do enough to where, you know, we're happy this year, and then next year, you know, add some different ones, you know.
Speaking of next year, you need to add in the Wisconsin Fishing Expo in February.
I was just told that.
Yes.
But unfortunately, it falls at the same time as, I think it's East Tennessee this year, so I won't be able to be there for that. But yeah.
You need to get it in your schedule for next year. You need to come see us.
Yeah, I would love that. That'd be great. There's quite a few of them. Sheboygan in Chicago's supposed to be a really good one. Then the same guy does a saltwater one that's supposed to be really good. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see. I don't know if that's a market Lester wants to get into or not, but you know, we'll throw that around a little bit and see.
Right. Well, I know he did say the new avenue might be some RVs and golf carts.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That angle.
Yeah. Yeah. We've got quite a few RV places looking at us, and I'm going to be going over there to Indiana to spend some time talking with some individuals over there, and talk and see what we can do.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Be nice. Yeah. And then batteries for golf carts. Everybody's got an electric golf cart, you know.
Oh yeah.
I was talking to Zona, and he's got one, and man, he says, Sean, I drive it more than I drive my truck, you know, in the summertime.
Right.
Because that's all he does. I mean, he goes
Mhm.
from the boat barn to home and downtown and back, small little town in Michigan,
Right.
So, he's like, I do it all the time. So
Mhm.
I'm going to go and I got to talk to Lester about doing something for his golf cart for sure.
Yeah.
He says it's losing power.
You can't have a slow golf cart. You
No.
can't have that happening.
No, and you can't. They put such big batteries in those things. You can't.
Right.
I mean, they weigh a ton. I mean, they
Mhm.
weigh so much.
Yeah.
So those 6 volts or whatever them are, them things
Yeah.
are nothing but lead. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. You got to soup up those golf carts, get them moving faster.
just what Z needs, go faster.
Exactly. Right. Exactly.
He'll be wrapping it next.
I like it. I like it.
So have you met Mark?
I have not met him yet.
Mark, if you ever get a chance to meet him, he's really, really, really a good guy. Really a good guy. I was surprised at first, because most people when they get the
Right.
popularity, they start getting a little big, right?
Mhm.
And he is, I mean, he's like, Sean, I'll be the first one to tell you, I
Yeah.
don't have a clue what you're talking about,
Yeah.
So he's the type of guy that'll put a screw in with a hammer.
Oh, perfect.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yeah. Down to earth and yeah.
So yeah, he's like, I do not know. You're gonna have to dumb it down for me, buddy, because I don't know.
Right.
And he took to the app. He understood quite a bit what I was saying and how to pay attention to what the app says and what's going on. So
Brian is the same way. He will be actually the first to admit that technology is not his thing.
Right.
I manage the app on his phone for his batteries, make sure he's got that set up and running. I do the updates on all of his graphs. I had to do 3 updates at one time when we were on Leech Lake last year at the Opens for his trolling motor, because that had not been updated in so long. And he's all of a sudden it didn't work in the service trailers that told him it needed an update. Well, it needed 3. And you had to do them in order. So I spent 2 hours out at the boat. I did one night of practice doing the updates on his trolling motor. So yeah, technology is not his thing. He does like Google Earth and he'll get his, his waypoints and stuff. I'm the one that gets them off Google Earth from the computer into the graphs. I do all of his electronics. That's not his thing. He can run them, when he's on the water, he can run his graphs fine. But when it comes to the actual technology, it's me.
Right. Yeah, I do. I'm kind of a nerd that way. I love technology. So I'll spend countless hours messing with my fish finders and tweaking, my live scope and everything. I love doing it. I hate watching it. It's just the way it is, but it's fun to do, when you can trick them into biting and stuff. It's a lot of fun. But yeah, I'm definitely the nerdy type. I love being out there and updating everything and seeing what it does and changing everything on the grass. It makes me happy,
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. And he's pretty good with that. It's just if it doesn't work or something, then he's lost. And then it's here, you do this, and he walks away.
Well, he's lucky to have you. I told you were the boss.
I am. And sometimes though, I wish I wasn't. I was like, this is not my boat. This is not my grass. I'm not the one fishing the tournament. Why am I the one out here for 3 hours trying to update this stuff?
You need to start wearing a shirt that says Superwoman.
Right. That day I said I needed support staff, but I like Superwoman better. I think that's the route we're going
to go. Support wife.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of supporting going on. That's for sure. Some days there's a lot more than others.
he's not here to defend himself, so we can have fun,
Exactly. So he watches this back later and he's like, oh, really? Thanks, guys.
I love it. I can't wait till he watches this and is, he's going to be like, oh, I'm going to get that guy.
Right. And he'll be like, that's the last time I ever let her do a podcast by herself.
Yeah, no, I'll tell you what, it was great when I got to finally meet you guys both last year.
Yeah.
I love that kind of interaction. I love the posts and the way things go, and we're blessed to have you.
Yeah, well, thank you. We appreciate it. We love being part of the MillerTech team. And I know the Major Bass, they're always running around at the Opens tournaments, taking video, and love talking to those guys. And
yeah, they're always running around somewhere, aren't they?
yeah. Oh my gosh, they are. She's everywhere. It's great.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll get her for 2 minutes. They'll be having a conversation, and then here comes somebody else, and off she goes. But yeah, they're great.
Yeah, they're doing some of the NPFL as well. So yeah, they're just going crazy,
Yeah, they are. They're everywhere, but they do a good job.
I can't wait to ask Brian. I gotta ask him. What does he think about no forward-facing sonar in the NPFL?
When it comes to forward-facing sonar, he's kind of one of those ones that he doesn't really have a preference, I think.
Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, he uses it. Maybe he's not the best at it, but he uses it. He can do it. He doesn't really have a preference one way or the other. When the Opens decided not to do away with it, he was fine with it. He wasn't going to jump ship to somewhere else just because of that. So, then the no co-angler announcement from the Opens, that was one where he won't complain about not having a co-angler for sure. But it's one of those ones too where it was like we've made a lot of good friends with a lot of our co-anglers. And in fact, actually, we're recording another episode for our podcast tonight with two of our friends that are co-anglers. One we met while traveling, and the other one actually is from the Illinois area, not too far away. He got paired as a co-angler with Brian on the James River a couple years ago, and we've been friends with him ever since. So our podcast has always been to try to avoid the drama of fishing, but unfortunately that episode is probably going to have a little bit of it just because unfortunately now it's one of those things where it's like they were both, they were signed up to do them and then to find out that they're not having them. But
so, I mean, I would hate to be in the boat and then have a co-angler. I would feel bad, like if I'm scoping and they don't have a chance to throw at anything, I would feel bad.
Yeah.
So I would want, if they were going to keep co-anglers, I think they should have combined their weight or did something, what I'm saying?
Right.
Because then, your angler's going to be more apt to let you catch a couple, what I mean? Like do a 2-fish co-angler deal and their 2 fish counts into your bag, as the boater's bag. So something like that, would really, set it off. But I don't know. It's their decision. It is what it is. But I just don't want to see it alienate a whole group of would-be anglers and would-be boat owners, because there's a lot of that growth, Right.
They start off as co-anglers and then they have enough as a boater. I do think that because the Bass has now changed the way they do the nations, I think they're kind of hoping that they're going to get a lot of those co-anglers in the nation series with those qualifiers. They do have the 4 nation qualifiers and then you make it to the championship from there. And actually with the co-anglers, with the nation, if they fish the nation as a co-angler, they make it to the championship, then they do have a chance if they place so high on the second day of the championship that they fish the third day as a boater and then they are given a boat to run. So there is ways for the co-anglers to make it that way too. So I think that was their goal because we were losing numbers as co-anglers in the Opens. And I think it was a lot to do with the sonar and I think the off limits period for the Opens too, because a lot of these guys are co-anglers, it's their local lake. They don't want to be not able to fish on their local lake for 2 weeks because of the off limits.
That is something I didn't think about for sure.
So I think that because then they can't fish their local tournaments, so they're not cashing checks on their local tournaments while they're off limits waiting for the Open. So our numbers have kind of gone down. So I think they're hoping that the nation will help fill out that in with the co-anglers.
I just hope they find a place. You know what I'm saying? I hope they find a place and don't give up the dream of being, a boater and an angler, and you know what I mean? Because there was a lot of people that, inspired to be, a bass pro and don't have the funds to go out and, buy $100,000 boat and, an $80,000 truck to pull it,
Yeah.
So it kind of, I hope they find a place,
I think they will. And I know, I mean, a lot of the boaters that we know have started off as co's. So
right.
I mean, Brian's one of the few that never really started that route, but a lot of them do. So I think hopefully they'll find a place, and hopefully if it be, the nation would be a good place to start. So hopefully that's
right. Well, that'd be great. That would be great. And I'll be watching, of course I'd be watching. I always watch, I spend more time watching fishing than I do fishing,
right. Bonus, you can watch the fishing while you're working. So,
a lot of my friends, that I've talked to that have been in the industry for a long time, they all say the same thing. If you want to fish, don't get in the industry.
Right.
Because you're not going to have time to fish. You're out, dealing with this person or that person, or taking care of a dealer, or doing, whatever. When Lester started this whole thing, I made it like my mission to be the best at this job as I possibly can. And if that means I get 2 hours of sleep a night, that's what it means,
Right.
So
you need more than 2 hours. You got to squeak in.
But yeah, I'm always helping people, taking care of, phone calls, talking with dealers, setting up dealers, everything in between. So
yeah,
I mean, you have to.
Yeah, for sure.
So
well, I don't want to keep you any longer because I know you've got a trade show to worry about and some rest to get. But is there anything that I need to know? I mean, Lester filled us in on all the benefits of why we use MillerTech, and we got the announcement for NASCAR. But is there anything else new and exciting you got for me?
Not really. I mean, he's pretty much got everything covered. He knows more than I do. Heck, I'm on the road all the time.
Right.
I mean, I'm usually getting the third wave of notifications, But no, I'll tell you what, to anybody that's thinking about lithium batteries, it's not just about the product. It's about the family and the people behind it. So that's the number one thing, because if something does happen, and it will, it's inevitable, it will.
Right.
You want to make sure that the people that are working there behind you are supporting you, taking care of you.
Yeah, and MillerTech has been great about that. So.
Yep. We actually, we have the best warranty in the business. What is it? A paragraph?
You're right.
We don't have any small print. We're straightforward company that cares about each and every one of our customers, each and every one of our pro staff, and we try to do everything the right way.
Right.
So
yeah. And I definitely think that MillerTech is succeeding. Obviously, it's evident by you can't go anywhere now and not see them. They're the sponsor on this TV show, and they're the sponsor on this fishing TV show, and they're the sponsor on NASCAR. And so, yeah, definitely MillerTech has gotten their name out there. That's for sure. And
yeah,
they wouldn't be able to do that if they weren't putting out good product.
Yeah, we are from top to bottom in for the long haul. So, Lester's goal and when this whole thing was to be the number one battery in the world. and
Think
we're
he's doing
getting
it.
there.
Yep.
We're getting there. So I thank you for your time.
Yes, thank you. Make sure that you
Not Brian, just you.
just me. Yeah, we'll make sure we tell him that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
thank you. Enjoy your trade show, and I probably
Thank
won't
you.
see you before, but we'll see you at the Classic.
I can't wait.
All right, we'll see you then.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.